Hello, whisperers. Welcome to the channel. If you enjoy tonight's tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It helps more than you know. Now, dim the lights, and let's begin tonight's story. I've worked a lot of protection gigs, and most of them boil down to babysitting rich people who think they're more important than they are. This one was different from the start. ViraClean doesn't hire just anyone. They handpick teams with spotless records, proven trigger discipline, and the ability to disappear into the background. The kind of people who don't ask questions. We were on the 48th floor of the Azure Spire, a glass and steel monolith with its own private rooftop helipad. Late afternoon light bled in through floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the polished marble in gold. The city stretched out below like a circuit board. My four-man detail was spread out in a loose diamond around the CFO. I had Cole watching the elevator bank, Ramirez at the stairwell, Beck on the windows, and I stayed close to our principal, a sharp, silver-haired woman named Hartwell, wearing a navy pantsuit that probably cost more than my truck. We were told this was just a secure escort for the tail end of a high-level meeting. Easy money, at least until the comms pinged. Blackbird 1, your ride's inbound 3 mics out. Adjust timetable. That was odd. Extraction wasn't supposed to be until dusk, and not from the roof. I keyed my mic. Control, copy, reason for timetable change. Static, then the same voice again, clipped. Just be ready. Bird's hot. When you've been in this line of work long enough, you learn to clock the tone in a man's voice. This one said, move. We shepherded Hartwell through the internal security door to the roof access. The afternoon wind hit us hard, carrying the smell of rain from somewhere far off. I heard the chopper before I saw it, the heavy chop of rotors echoing between towers. Cole scanned the sky. That's not our bird. It came in fast, matte black fuselage, skids low, tail rotor whining. The pilot barely slowed before setting down on the pad. The tinted cabin door popped open, and that's when I saw them. 2 men slumped against the bulkhead, harness straps digging into their shoulders. Blood sprayed the inside of the glass like somebody had shaken up a bottle of red paint. They didn't move until the rotors gusted through the cabin. Then they were on their feet. The first one launched himself out of the bird straight into our rooftop security detail. They went down hard, a blur of limbs and teeth. The second one followed, eyes wide, mouth open, in a guttural wet sound I can't unhear. Ramirez's rifle barked twice. The first round took the second man in the chest. No effect. The second punched through his neck, spraying a fine mist that glittered in the sun. Still, he kept coming. I put a burst through his skull. That stopped him. Cole was yelling over the rotors. We've got bites. They're biting. The wind shifted, and I caught the metallic tang of fresh blood. Hartwell was screaming for us to get her inside. I waved Beck to cover the bird and pulled her back through the security door. Behind me, something slammed against the metal hard enough to make it ring. Downstairs, the building's emergency lockdown protocols kicked in. You could hear the hum of magnetic locks engaging, the hiss of fire doors sliding shut. Elevators bricked themselves automatically. We were now 48 floors above the street, with at least 2 unknown hostiles loose on the roof, and no guarantee they were the only ones. Cole joined us at the stairwell, breathing hard. "Sir, I think it's already on other floors." I looked at him, trying to process. "How the hell do you know that?" "Because when I came down, I saw someone banging on the glass wall of the 46th floor break room. Looked like she'd been chewed on, and she wasn't acting human anymore." We all went quiet for a second. The only sound was the hum of the lockdown seals and Hartwell's breathing. I keyed my mic to control again. "We're compromised on multiple levels. What's our evac?" "Nothing but static." I glanced at the others, then down the dim steel stairwell that spiraled out of sight. 48 floors, multiple compromised levels, one very high-value asset. The only way out was down. The stairwell stank. Not from rot, not yet, but from the sour, panicked sweat of people who'd just been running for their lives. Every sound carried, the tap of boots on metal, the subtle creak of the rail, Hartwell's uneven breathing behind me. "Single file," I murmured into comms. "Short bursts. Pie every landing. We keep eyes on the principal." Cole took point with me, his suppressed SBR up, laser off to stay light discipline. Ramirez followed, Hartwell in the middle, Beck bringing up the rear. We hit the landing for 47. Cole eased the door open just enough to get a mirror in. I crouched behind him, watching the fisheye view on my tablet. The office floor beyond was modern and expensive. Glass partitions, ergonomic furniture, a massive video wall frozen on a slideshow of quarterly projections, 2 bodies on the carpet, both unmoving. Cole glanced back at me. I nodded. "Quick sweep. Keep it tight." We moved in low and quiet, muzzles covering corners. The carpet muffled our steps. At the far end, one of the bodies twitched. Beck's voice crackled in my ear. "Movement, rear contact." The thing rolled toward us, face slack, eyes cloudy. When it lunged, it did it without hesitation. No confusion, no attempt at speech, just raw speed and violence. Cole's first round punched through its temple. It collapsed, twitching once before going still. Hartwell whispered, "My God, what is this?" "Not our job to know," I said, maybe sharper than I meant to. "Let's move." We cleared 47 clean after that, but Cole's point was already made. It was here, and it was spreading. 46 was different. Before we even opened the door, I heard the muffled thud, thud, thud of something hitting glass. Inside, the break room's glass wall was spider-webbed with cracks. Behind it, a woman in a pencil skirt slammed her head and shoulders into the glass over and over. Her hands were shredded from the impacts, leaving red smears down the pane. She didn't react to us, just kept trying to break through like we weren't even there. Hartwell stopped in the doorway. "That's Monica. She was in the meeting with—" "Move," I cut in. We skirted the break room wide, keeping weapons up. The glass groaned as we passed. We were halfway to the far stairwell when a sound ripped through the office, the high-pitched snap of tempered glass giving way. The woman came through in a spray of shards. Cole dropped her mid-sprint. Even then, she slid half a meter across the carpet before stopping. We didn't linger. 45 was our first real fight. The door opened onto an open-plan workspace, half lit, the other half shadowed where a wall of blinds cut off the sunset. Rows of desks sat empty, or looked empty, until one of the shadows shifted, then another. Ramirez muttered, "They're crawling." 3 figures moved low between the desks, their hands smearing red across tabletops. They moved fast when they committed, almost a blur. The first one reached us and took 2 rounds from Beck before it even stumbled. "Contact, left flank," Cole said. We fell back toward the stairwell, keeping fields of fire clean. The noise was a magnet. By the time we hit the stairs, we'd dropped 5, maybe 6 of them, and the floor was echoing with more incoming footfalls. By 42, we were running low on clean routes. Several floors were blocked by locked fire doors. Others had smoke alarms blaring, sprinklers drenching everything in a fine mist. The humidity made my grip slick. I kept wiping my gloves on my pants between reloads. It was on 42 that we picked up the survivors. 3 of them, barricaded in a kitchenette with an overturned vending machine wedged against the door. Their eyes went wide when they saw us, like we were cavalry. But when I told them we were moving down, they shook their heads. "Help's coming," one man insisted, clutching a fire axe like a talisman. "They'll clear the building. We just have to wait." Hartwell looked like she wanted to argue. I didn't let her. We were burning time, and noise upstairs told me we didn't have much left. We finally reached the 32nd floor, the first of the secure access levels, and that's when we hit the wall. Literally. A security door locked with a manual override panel stood between us and the next stairwell. The override was in the control room across an open atrium. The atrium spanned 3 floors, ringed with balconies. Glass elevators hung in the center like ornaments. I sent the drone first. It buzzed low over the atrium rail, feeding us shaky video. I counted at least a dozen infected pacing the balconies, heads twitching at the sound. One was right by the control room door, jerking in quick, unnatural bursts like it was shivering. "Quiet as we can," I told the team. We moved along the balcony, avoiding loose debris. Cole reached the control panel, started working the override. That's when the drone feed shook, then spun. Something massive had dropped from the balcony above, swatting it out of the air like a toy. The thing straightened up. 7 feet, easy, broad, suit torn at the seams from muscle that didn't belong to any human. Face slack, but jaw distended, like it had been broken and never reset. Hartwell whispered, That was one of our board members." It roared and the glass around the atrium shivered. We didn't have time to wonder how it got that way. It moved before I could even yell. Cole was still crouched at the control panel when the thing charged. The impact sounded like a car wreck. Cole slammed into the wall hard enough to crack the drywall, rifle skittering across the floor. I went full auto, controlled bursts into its chest. Rounds punched through cloth and flesh, but it didn't stop. just turned that broken jaw toward me and bellowed. "On me," I said. Beck and Ramirez joined in, stitching its torso and legs with fire. At 5 meters, a frag might as well have been a nuke. I tossed one low, calling, "Frag out." The blast took it off its feet. When the dust cleared, half its ribcage was hanging like splintered wood, still breathing, still moving. I dumped the rest of my mag into its skull. This time, it stayed down. Cole groaned, pushing himself up. "I'm good," he muttered, though his left arm hung limp. He slapped the override, and the big door ground open, loud enough to wake the dead. Literally. The infected on the upper balconies turned as one. We moved fast. 31st was smoke and screaming, some of it human, most of it not. Sprinklers had turned the floor into a slip hazard, our boots leaving watery prints as we moved. Every muzzle flash lit droplets in the air like tiny sparks. We weren't clearing floors anymore. Not fully, just shooting what blocked our path. By the 20s, it was a meat grinder. Offices were gone, just bare concrete, scaffolding, and dust. Somewhere in the middle of a half-finished build-out, Hartwell dropped her satchel. "Leave it," I barked. She shook her head, darted back for it, and almost lost her throat to an infected clinging under a desk. Cole cut it down, but the delay cost us. They were coming from every direction now, funneled by the same construction choke points we were trying to use. I wanted to yell at her, but one look at her face stopped me. The satchel wasn't personal. It was full of documents, ViraClean headers, classified, stamped on half of them. She clutched it like it was the only thing keeping her alive. 15 to 10 was a blur. My rifle was light from lack of ammo. I switched to sidearm and started counting every shot. The building's power died around 12. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in red. Shadows jumped on the walls, too many for the number of bodies actually there. The noise level climbed to an unbearable roar. Gunfire, screams, pounding footsteps. Beck went down on 11. He wasn't dead, but a bad bite to the calf slowed him enough that I had to make the call. Ramirez grabbed him under the arms, dragging him while I covered. By the time we hit the lobby, the war was already lost. Glass doors were shattered, security posts overturned. Half the marble floor was slick with blood. Civilians, security guards, even a couple of cops, all mixed in with the infected, clawing and biting at anything that moved. I scanned for our exfil, saw it, side-loading bay, steel door half open. The matte black armored van waiting beyond was our ride. We pushed. The last 30 meters were nothing but pure adrenaline. Hartwell ran in the middle, Ramirez half-hauling back, Cole behind them, me in the rear, laying down fire until my pistol locked open. An infected caught my vest, dragging me sideways. I felt teeth scrape the Kevlar. I smashed its face with the pistol, grabbed the grip with both hands, and kept hitting until it let go. My hands were slick when I yanked the bay door shut behind us. The van's interior was dim, smelling faintly of gun oil and antiseptic. The driver didn't look back, just floored it. Through the rear window, I watched the azure spire recede into the chaos. Fires were already climbing the glass skin. Infected were spilling out into the streets like water through a broken dam. Hartwell finally spoke, calm now, controlled. We'll need you again tonight.